Today, we are going to be adding and subtracting fractions from whole numbers. So I took me a sheet of notebook paper and I did what I fourth it. I fold it like this, then I undo it, and I block it off where the folds are with lines. So if you want to pause just a minute and get a couple of sheets of notebook paper so that you'll be prepared. And we are adding and subtracting fractions from whole numbers today. The adding the fractions, that's going to be easy. Subtracting, there's a little extra step there to that. But you'll see as you go, it's not a hard lesson at all. So let's look at number 1. So if I've got 2 3/10 plus 3. Now notice, I made my 2, my whole number, as tall as my fraction. Make sure you do that. You don't want it to look like this. That looks like 23/10. We don't like that, so I'm going to erase that. Okay, so adding, like I said, is very easy. We're going to just take and grab my whole numbers. 2 plus 3, that's 5. And then 3/10. And then I just want to make sure that this is in simplest form. So my 3, I know that's prime. Remember your primes. Let me put them up here in case you need to list them. My lower prime numbers are 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, 13. That's probably all I'll need for right now with these numbers. There's definitely plenty more. All right, and let's factor out 10 with a factor tree. 2 times 5, prime, prime. Draw my line. I put the numbers I circled for 3 up top, the numbers I circled for 10 below. Nothing matches, so that tells me the 3/10 is already in simplest form. So my final answer is 5 3/10. You'll notice I circle it so that it sticks out. My answer sticks out really well. All right. Number 2. We've got 1 minus 1/4. Now look at this just a minute. You can't just say 1 minus 0 equals 1. This is what I'm taking 1/4 from. So I'm not going to have a whole when it's over with. So what I want to do is change this to a fraction so I can have a fraction minus a fraction. And we still want it to equal 1 whole. And since they're using the denominator of 4, I'm going to let that 4 help me make my whole. So I'll say 4/4 because that still equals 1 minus 1/4 equals, I'll keep my 4 on the bottom. 4 minus 1 is 3. And I know this is in simplest form because it's next door neighbors. 3/4. All right, let's look at another one. Number 3. Remember to pause this. It'd be a good idea once I write a problem, you go ahead and try to work it and try to work as independently as you can without relying on me so much. And that'll help you get better at this. And always reach out to me if you have any questions. All right, let's try this one. 2 minus 3/5. Okay. Now, remember a while ago, we turned this 1 into a whole number, and we called it 4/4 because that's the denominator they used. We're going to do the same thing here. But I don't have 1 whole. I've got 2 wholes. So I'll keep one of these, and I'll turn the other into a fraction. So I'll say 1, and since they're using fifths, I'll do 1 5/5. Notice 1 5/5 is equal to 2 minus 3/5 equals. Now, notice 1 minus, there's nothing here, so I can put 1. That's like 1 minus 0. There's no holes there. Now I'll do my fraction part. 5 minus 3 is 2, and then I keep my 5. I know that is in simplest form already without having to do factor trees because 2 and 5 are both prime numbers. So they would not factor out into anything any different. Remember, if you've got a prime on top and a prime on bottom, you're finished. That's just one we don't see very much of. All right. Let's look at this one. 3 minus 1 2/3. Okay, what I'm going to do is turn this into a mixed number. I'll pull 1 out. So if I pull 1 out of that, it'll leave me with 2 3/3. See, I'm making this into a mixed number so I can subtract it easier. I'm using the denominator that they use, the 3, so it's 3/3. So instead of just writing 3 here, I'm calling it 2 3/3. It still equals 3 minus 1 2/3 equals, subtract my whole numbers first. 2 minus 1 is 1. 3 minus 2 is 1. And I keep my 3. And my final answer, 1 1/3. And I know that this is already in simplest form because I have a 1 on top. Okay, you'll definitely notice the subtraction is what takes a little more effort. Adding is super easy. All right, let's look at the next one. 2 plus 1 1/5. Now with adding, we don't have to do anything special. I can just come right over here, grab my whole number. 2 plus 1 is 3. Take that fraction and put with it, and there's my final answer. 3 1/5. It's already in simplest form because there is a 1 on top. Number 6. 2 minus 1 3/8. All right, we've got to subtract. It's a little more difficult than adding. Remember what I'm going to do with this 2. I'm going to turn it into a mixed number. I'll take 1 away from it, which will leave me with 1, and give the 1 back in the form of a fraction. And since they're using eighths, we'll say 8/8. So I took 1 away, and that left me with 1, and I gave it back with 8/8. So 1 8/8 still equals 2. Minus, just bring this down, 1 3/8. 1 minus 1, that's 0. 8 minus 3 is 5/8. I need to try to put it in simplest form. And by the way, with a 0 whole number, you don't even need that. So it's just 5/8 right now. So on 5, that's prime. 8, 2 times 4, 2's prime. 4, 2 times 2, prime, prime. I'll draw my line and stack them. The numbers circled for 5 go on top. The numbers circled for 8 on bottom. I don't have any matches, so that means 5/8. It's my final answer. Okay, let's look at number 7. 5 2/5 plus 2 3/5 equals. Once again, the adding is easy. Grab your whole numbers. 5 plus 2, that's 7. Keep your denominator of 5. 2 plus 3, is 5. Oh, and look what we've got right here. We've got 7 and 5/5. So that's like 7 plus one more whole, which would equal 8. And that would be my final answer. All right. Number 8. 4 minus 2 and 2/7. All right, we've got to subtract right here. So here's what I'm going to do with this 4. Remember, I want to turn this into a mixed number, but I still want it to equal 4. So I'll take 1 away, which would be 3. Now I'm going to give it back. When I give it back, it'll be a fraction. And since they're using 7, then I'll give it back as 7/7. See, that still equals 4. 3 and 7/7 is 4. Minus 2 and 2/7 equals. Subtract my whole numbers. 3 minus 2 is 1. 7 minus 2 is 5. And I keep my 7. And I know this is already in simplest form because 5 is prime and 7 is prime. And like we said a while ago, if you've got a prime on top of a prime, your fraction is done. It's already as low as it can go. All right, let me get another sheet of paper. Okay, you may want to pause it. You probably need paper too. Let's go to number 9. We're going to say 9 and 3/4 plus 8. Love the adding ones. They're easy, aren't they? Add the 9 and the 8. That gives us 17. Now deal with my fraction. 3/4 is by itself, so it's 17 and 3/4. I know that's in simplest form because 3 and 4 are neighbors. So this one's done. These are quick and easy, aren't they? Number 10. Getting a little higher with our numbers. 17 minus 15 and 2/3. Now remember, I just can't say 17 minus 15 is 2 and then put 2/3 with it because this has got to come out of this. So my 17, I'm going to take 1 away and give it back. I'll take 1 away and make it 16 and give it back. Since they're using thirds, I'll do 16 and 3/3, which would equal 17. Minus 15 and 2/3 equals 16 minus 15 would be 1. 3 minus 2 is 1. And I keep my denominator, and I know that's in simplest form because there is a 1 on top. All right, let's look at the next one. $15 plus 17 and 2/3. Remember, the adding is easy. We can just combine them. We'll combine my whole numbers. 15 plus 17, you can come right here and add those. That's 12, carry my 1, 32. So 15 plus 17 is 32. And I keep my 2/3 here. And that's already in simplest form because 2 and 3 are neighbors. Number 12. 100 minus 20 and 7/8. So on the 100, I'm going to take one away and give it back. Take one away, and that'll give me 99. Now I'm going to give it back. Since they're using eighths, then my whole needs to be 8 eighths. Minus, bring the 20 and 7 eighths down. Equals, I'll subtract my whole numbers first. 99 minus 20. I know 99 minus 10 is 89. 10 more would be 79. 8 minus 7 is 1, and I keep my 8 as a denominator. So my answer is 79 and 1/8. And I know that's in simplest form because there's a 1 on top as my numerator. Okay, hopefully these problems have helped you understand this lesson. If you have any questions, reach out to me and I'll be glad to help. Thanks for watching.